intends to repay this loan to PLH?
Mr. Speaker, there is an arrangement with the Antigua Port Authority in which tonnage dues and other fees that are payable will be set off against the $4 million that will be advanced to facilitate the expansion and renovation of the River Dock facility.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister advise this House on the interest rate of the existing loan with PLH and the collateral required to secure that loan?
Mr. Speaker, there is no collateral. In fact, what we have done is that we have asked PLH to advance certain payments, and the amounts will be set off against future payments that are due and payable to the government of Antigua and Barbuda, and I believe that the facility carries an interest rate of 5%.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell the nation whether or not it is true that the government has given PLH 10 years exclusive rights to operate an FBO at the new airport in Barbuda, barring all other operators?
Mr. Speaker, PLH has an arrangement in which they're partnering with 3 Barbudans to operate an FBO. The facility will be constructed at a cost of several $1 million, and they have indicated that they need exclusivity to operate an FBO. That is a private facility for a period of 10 years in order to amortize the investment. This is distinct from the terminal facility that will be operated by the central government.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell this House how the Cabinet has disposed of approximately 94 acres of land that were to be used as an Iraqi village?
Mr. Speaker, the information or the question is somewhat redundant. We all know that many years ago we considered making available 94 acres of land for the establishment of a facility in the rural west area. That proposal was abandoned, and therefore the question is redundant.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell the nation whether or not an environmental impact assessment study was done on the proposed site for the construction of the new seaport in Barbuda?
Mr. Speaker, yes. Back in 2007, an EIA was done, and it is currently being updated.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister confirm to this Honourable House that he's aware of that environmental impact assessment study that was done by consultants out of Canada, that they recommended that absolutely no blasting of the seabed in Barbuda be done to construct any port facility at the river dock?
Mr. Speaker, I'm not aware that any blasting will be done, but I can assure the member for Barbuda that we will adhere to all of the requirements, all of the mitigating measures that are required to ensure the preservation of the environment.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell the nation, I'm going to ask this question again because I asked it the last time. When does he, as Minister of Finance, intend to bring to this Parliament of Antigua and Barbuda, as per the Finance Administration Act of 2006, all the loan agreements the government of Antigua and Barbuda has entered into or intend to enter into with the PLH in Barbuda for approval?
Mr. Speaker, the only arrangement in which funds have been advanced would have been the $8 million, and we have already given an undertaking that at the next sitting of Parliament, we will table that loan agreement.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell this nation and this Honourable House why is the government of Antigua and Barbuda allowing PLH to fund/control all the major infrastructure in Barbuda?
Mr. Speaker, what we have asked PLH to do is to advance certain sums, which obviously will be set off against taxes due and payable in the future. So in essence, they are public sector funds, even though advanced by PLH.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell this nation and this Honourable House why is the government of Antigua and Barbuda allowing PLH to operate in Barbuda similarly how the disgraced billionaire Sir Alan Sanford operated in Antigua several years ago?
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure you'd agree that that is a most inappropriate question. It is flawed, it is disrespectful, and perhaps the member for Barbuda ought to control himself, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, obviously, Prime Minister, no, this is the House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, if the senators are going to disturb me, I have a problem. I'm not supposed to be here. If the senators are going to disturb me, I have a problem because they're not even supposed to be here. Please speak to them and let them know they're supposed to be quiet. What I'm saying in terms of sitting
The
next to us.
parliamentarians.
All right? Mr. Speaker, I need to hear myself, right? Please.
Control your emotions.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honorable Prime Minister tell this Honorable House whether or not the Western Imperial Investment Group has the money to complete the proposed project within the economic zone given to them by the Cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda?
Mr. Speaker, as the member for Barbuda is fully aware, our government has decided to establish the legal and administrative framework for the establishment of special economic zones in order to diversify the country's economy. And, there are certain requirements, and provided these entities satisfy the requirements of the laws of Antigua and Barbuda, then we're duty bound to extend those licenses, and we wish every of them, or each of them for that matter, every success.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honorable Prime Minister confirm to this Honorable House whether or not a license was issued to the Western Imperial Group to operate an economic zone in Antigua?
The answer is yes.
Right. Mr. Speaker, can the Honorable Prime Minister tell the nation whether or not he's aware that the said Western Imperial Group has not paid over $2 million in rent to a local company operating on Upper Newgate Street?
No, I'm not aware.
Mr. Speaker, can the Honorable Prime Minister confirm to this Honorable House whether or not he was the one who negotiated the rent agreement for his private property in Jolly Harbour with Mr. Singh for $20,000 per month?
And the answer to that is no. The arrangement came through a private real estate company.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to wrap up. Mr. Speaker, can the Honorable Prime Minister tell this Honorable House whether or not it is true that the Cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda has approved the acquisition of 30 acres of Crown land that was given to Al Caribe Development Limited in Old Road for non-performance?
Mr. Speaker, it is true that we're about to cancel the partnership that we had with Kalaluki, and that the government of Antigua and Barbuda will be pursuing that hotel project on its own.
See, questions need to be answered. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Shaw, give me a break, please. Mr. Speaker,
honourable members of the Senate, please allow the questions to be put to the Prime Minister without any interruption. It's Prime Minister's question time, and it's not appropriate that the person has difficulty in asking his question. So I'd ask you to allow him to ask the question that can be heard and answered. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I only have two more questions. Mr. Speaker, can the Honourable Prime Minister tell this Honourable House how much money did Al Caribe Development Limited pay the government of Antigua and Barbuda for that said 30 acres of land in Old Road you're now trying to acquire?
Mr. Speaker, the land was not sold. The land represented the equity of the government of Antigua and Barbuda in the joint venture. Now that we are proceeding on our own, then obviously we will proceed as the sole owner of the 30 acres of land at Kalaluki.
Mr. Speaker, my final question for the public interest. Can the Honorable Prime Minister tell the nation exactly how many of government statutory corporations are actually occupying and paying rent to the principals of the South Mall complex in Ebenezer?
Mr. Speaker, I believe that APUA is one of those entities, and as a member of the Barbuda is fully aware, that arrangement was a pre-existing arrangement under the UPP administration. Subsequently, medical benefits and state insurance would have rented.